Scientists may have unlocked some of the secrets hidden within the dark side of the moon.
I hope so. At least we will make some contribution to history. Very exciting for us and to continue to inspire the next generation of scientists.
For centuries, we believed the moon was a natural, silent stone orbiting Earth. However, groundbreaking modern data has exposed a terrifying reality that has left scientists scrambling for answers. From massive underground metallic anomalies to strange mathematical alignments and unprecedented seismic activity. Is our moon an island of natural treasures, or was it really engineered? Before we even look at the treasures buried inside, let's take a look at the mind-bending reality of how the moon was put together in the first place. The cosmic architecture and impossible geometry. It all started with a cosmic coincidence so precise it defies logic. You know, the sun happens to be roughly 400 times larger than the moon. At the exact same time, the sun sits 400 times further away from Earth than the moon does. And because these two numbers match up, the moon appears the exact same size as the sun in our sky. This matching geometry allows for a perfect total solar eclipse, where the moon covers the giant star down to the millimeter. However, if the moon were slightly closer or further away, this perfect fit would not exist. Well, the anomalies multiply when you look at how our neighbor moves. The moon is tidally locked to Earth, meaning it takes the exact same time to spin on its axis as it does to complete one orbit around us. This flawless synchronization creates a strange reality where humanity has only ever seen one side of the moon. The far side remains hidden from view, wrapped in mystery. Beyond this, our companion serves as a critical stabilization tool. Without its precise mass and gravitational pull, Earth's axis would wobble violently over time, shifting between 0 and 85 degrees. This cosmic anchor prevents those extreme shifts, keeping our seasons predictable and preventing catastrophic climate swings. With all of these happening, the characteristics caught the attention of famous science writer Isaac Asimov. He ran the mathematical calculations on how gravity affects the system and realized something shocking. The sun actually exerts a stronger gravitational pull on the moon than Earth does. By the standard rules of physics, the moon should have been pulled away from us long ago to orbit the sun independently. Isaac Asimov concluded that the moon should not actually be orbiting Earth at all, describing our satellite as an astronomical freak of nature that defies the typical patterns found anywhere else in space. This weird behavior led researchers to look deeper beneath the surface, resulting in a controversial discovery during the Apollo missions. NASA decided to intentionally crash spent rocket stages into the lunar surface to test seismic equipment. When the heavy metal pieces from Apollo 12 and Apollo 13 slammed into the ground, the results shocked engineers. In November 1969, the Apollo 12 lunar module's ascent stage into the moon resulted in a seismic reverberation that lasted for nearly 1 hour. Again, in 1979, for Apollo 13, the moon did not absorb the impact with a quiet thud. Instead, it vibrated like a massive brass bell. These intense reverberations lasted for over 3 hours and 40 minutes, traveling to a depth of 25 miles, sparking radical theories that the core is structurally hollow. Even so, top space officials were openly astonished by the findings. Legendary aerospace engineer Dr. Wernher von Braun reviewed the seismic profiles alongside other NASA scientists. They openly stated that the unique shockwaves traveled through the lunar interior in a bizarre way, acting as if the moon possessed a hollow or highly rigid internal framework rather than a normal solid core of heavy rock. The data suggested an outer shell surrounding an empty space, a design that looks far more manufactured than natural. This structural mystery matches the final anomaly of its path through space, which is its nearly perfect circular orbit. Almost every other natural satellite in our solar system follows a highly elongated, eccentric path. Our moon boasts a geometric perfection that minimizes tidal stresses, behaving less as a captured space rock and more as a carefully calibrated machine. But if the exterior geometry of the moon feels as though it was drafted on a cosmic blueprint, It is what is buried right beneath the dust that has the world's superpowers on the brink of war. The fusion holy grail, the helium-3 vault. For more than 4 billion years, our satellite lacked a protective magnetic field and a thick atmosphere. Without this vital shield, the moon acted as a giant cosmic sponge, absorbing unyielding streams of solar wind directly into its rocky top layer. This constant bombardment embedded millions of tons of helium-3 deep into the loose lunar soil, layer after layer. On Earth, this pristine isotope is almost completely non-existent because our planet's thick magnetic shield blocks it entirely, making the barren lunar surface the exclusive vault for the ultimate clean energy fuel source for our future. The global potential of this cosmic resource completely rewrites the future of human civilization and global power dynamics. A single spacecraft cargo bay filled with helium-3 could run a next-generation nuclear fusion power reactor for 12 consecutive months. This incredible technological process creates zero greenhouse gases and leaves behind absolutely no dangerous radioactive waste, providing enough electricity to safely power the entire United States for a full year. And because this energy source could solve the global climate crisis overnight, the financial stakes are unbelievably high. With each ton of helium-3, valued at roughly $20 to $30 million, global superpowers are aggressively rushing to establish mining territories. The United States, China, and Russia are already deploying advanced hardware to claim the prime territory, turning the completely silent lunar landscape into a high-stakes corporate battlefield for generations to come. However, getting to this fuel presents a massive mechanical nightmare for aerospace engineers on Earth. Automated mining rovers must scrape up millions of tons of sharp lunar dirt and process everything right on the surface. Heavy automated machinery will have to scoop up the regolith and bake the rocky soil at extreme temperatures exceeding 600 degrees Celsius to finally vaporize and trap the unique helium gas molecules for storage. This massive industrial mining effort means establishing permanent robotic facilities on an unforgiving world that presents constant environmental dangers. So far, helium-3 is utterly useless without a human workforce to harvest it, and keeping humans alive in the lunar void requires a second, even more shocking resource hidden in the shadows. The oasis in permanent shadow, the water ice hoard. Now, this exact survival asset is located deep within the lunar South Pole, inside massive impact craters where the high rocky rims completely block out all incoming sunlight. These dark chasms have remained wrapped in absolute bone-chilling darkness for over 2 billion years, without a single ray of direct sunlight to warm them. Temperatures inside these lightless voids plunge below -400 degrees Fahrenheit, an environment far colder than the frozen surface of Pluto. For decades, the existence of moisture in such a dry wasteland remained a theory, but advanced engineering finally exposed the truth. High-tech orbiting satellites and specialized ground-penetrating radar systems eventually scanned these pitch-black traps, confirming that they hold billions of tons of ancient water ice. This precious material is perfectly preserved in a pristine, rock-hard, frozen state, mixed directly into the loose lunar dirt. Even so, space agencies no longer look at the moon as a barren desert, but as a frozen oasis waiting to be developed. This deep freeze reservoir completely redefines our future because it acts as the ultimate cosmic fuel station. Future space missions will place massive solar energy arrays on the brightly lit crater rims to generate power and beam it down into the darkness. With this, engineers can then use that electrical power to split the harvested water ice into its core elements, creating liquid oxygen for human respiration and liquid hydrogen, which happens to be the premium choice for heavy-duty rocket propellant. But then, launching a heavy rocket directly from Earth requires an immense amount of energy because our spacecraft must fight against our planet's crushing gravity. So, by refueling those exact vehicles at a permanent lunar base using local water ice, the Moon transforms into a highly cost-efficient launch pad for deep space exploration and the future colonization of Mars, saving trillions of dollars in fuel costs. This highly efficient logistics network is made possible by a fundamental rule of planetary physics rather than random luck. The precise positioning of these massive ice reserves exclusively at the poles is a direct result of the Moon's minimal axial tilt, which creates the permanent deep freeze zones needed to trap water, while water-bearing comets and meteorites have bombarded the entire lunar surface for billions of years. Any ice exposed to direct sunlight instantly boiled away into the vacuum of space. Therefore, these polar craters do not represent a mysterious paradox, but rather the only natural cosmic refrigerators capable of preserving this invaluable fuel for an advancing spacefaring species. But survival on this alien rock requires more than just water and fuel. It demands heavy shields against an unforgiving cosmos, leading scientists to unlock a secret hidden within the very dust itself: the alchemist's dust, lunar regolith, and 3D-printed fortresses. On the lunar surface, there's a fine gray powder covering the entire top. But when you look closely, it turns out to be one of the most dangerous materials a human can encounter. On Earth, natural forces like wind and water constantly tumble sand grains over millions of years until their rough edges become completely smooth. You see, the Moon has zero atmosphere or weather to soften the landscape, meaning billions of years of asteroid impacts have smashed the rocky crust into microscopic, jagged shards of volcanic glass. This sharp silt acts exactly like airborne asbestos in space. During the Apollo missions, astronauts actually suffered from an illness they called lunar hay fever after tracking the debris inside their spacecraft. Even worse, the relentless solar radiation gives this powder a powerful static charge, causing it to stick tightly to everything it touches. The effects of this powder can quickly shred heavy spacesuit seals, ruin precision mechanical gears, and cause severe sneezing lung inflammation if a crew member accidentally breathes it in. But instead of running away from this deadly environmental hazard, aerospace engineers figured out a brilliant way to turn this threat into an absolute advantage. They figured out that shipping traditional building supplies like heavy concrete mix, metal framing, and steel beams from Earth is a logistical nightmare that would cost trillions of dollars. So, engineers are solving this massive transportation problem by perfecting an industrial technique called sintering. By aiming high-powered lasers and targeted microwaves directly at the powdery ground, automated rovers can melt these sharp glass fragments together. This specialized cooking method transforms loose, toxic dirt into ultra-dense, interlocking building blocks right on the terrain without using a single drop of precious Earth water. Once the bricks are ready, autonomous, robotic rovers equipped with industrial 3D printers will step in to assemble thick, domed outposts layer by layer. These heavily fortified shelters will act as massive shields, protecting human pioneers from lethal cosmic rays and unpredictable solar flares. And because lunar soil is an exceptional thermal insulator, burying these 3D-printed habitats under a heavy blanket of loose dirt keeps the interior living spaces completely stable. This thick shield protects everyone from wild outdoor temperature shifts that rocket to a boiling 120 degrees Celsius during the daytime and plunge to a freezing minus 130 degrees Celsius at night. While we prepare to build outposts out of dust, the deep crust of the Moon holds an entirely different treasure, one dropped onto it by a multi-billion-year cosmic bombardment, the asteroid graveyard. Okay, first, let's think of our night sky companion as an unbroken historical diary. Unlike Earth, which constantly erases its own geological past through shifting tectonic plates and heavy rainfall, the Moon has no weather. So because this silent lunar surface lacks an atmosphere to erode the terrain, every single crater left by incoming space rocks over the last 4 billion years remains completely intact. During this long history, a massive number of heavy metallic asteroids slammed directly into the defenseless lunar surface. These specific space rocks were heavily loaded with rare platinum group elements, including massive deposits of pure platinum, iridium, palladium, and rhodium. Over the eons, these violent collisions scattered unimaginable wealth across the top layers of the lunar crust, leaving vast, incredibly rich mineral deposits resting incredibly close to the surface. Now, this particular layout creates a stunning contrast with how these identical resources are distributed on Earth. When our own planet was a molten ball of rock billions of years ago, heavy precious metals naturally sank deep into the boiling center, leaving Earth's outer crust starved of these valuable materials. That is why platinum group metals are so rare to mine on Earth today. However, on the Moon, the exact opposite happened. Being that these metallic deposits arrived long after the Moon solidified, they never sank. Instead, billions of dollars worth of industrial metals are waiting out in the open, ready to be scooped up through standard open-pit mining operations. To collect this massive fortune, forward-thinking space mining startups are designing highly specialized autonomous vehicles. As seen in engineering concepts for a two-rover system, the mission layout relies on a clean deployment of rovers down to target zones for active sample collection. These robotic vehicles will navigate the jagged impact craters, scooping up the raw soil and running it through internal magnetic sorting systems. This onboard process will separate the pure precious metals from the rocky debris without needing a human crew on site, while an orbiter tracks their progress and manages data transfer to Earth. If these machines succeed, the economic impact might completely disrupt our global financial systems by flooding Earth's technology industries with a cheap, steady supply of lunar harvested platinum. It could completely revolutionize consumer electronics, aerospace manufacturing, and clean energy batteries. However, dumping this much wealth onto the market all at once may threaten to destabilize global commodity markets overnight, fundamentally changing how we value resources on Earth. This unprecedented concentration of wealth has transformed the Moon from a peaceful scientific laboratory into a geopolitical chessboard where the rulebook is rapidly expiring. The new cosmic Cold War, geopolitics, and the Artemis race. You see, there are fundamental laws governing outer space that date back to the famous 1967 Outer Space Treaty. This historic agreement explicitly states that no single nation can claim sovereignty, plant a flag, or declare ownership over any part of the Moon. However, the old Cold War framework contains a massive loophole. It remains completely silent on whether private companies or individual countries can legally extract, mine, transport, and sell those resources for profit. To navigate this legal gray area, Washington launched the Artemis Accords Alliance. Led by NASA, this international coalition uses fast-track bilateral agreements between partner nations to bypass slow-moving United Nations consensus. A major feature of these agreements is the creation of cooperative surface safety zones, legal bubbles that allow countries to mine specific areas without outside interference. In a major strategic plot twist, NASA recently streamlined its entire long-term roadmap by pivoting away from building an orbital space station called the Lunar Gateway, shifting all financial and technical resources directly onto the ground to accelerate building a permanent surface base. This sudden structural architecture shift is a direct response to a massive rival space alliance. Right across the board, China and Russia have joined forces to construct the International Lunar Research Station. This competitive Eastern Bloc is aiming for the exact same premium real estate at the lunar South Pole, creating a tense, direct face-off over the highly limited ice-rich crater zones. While global superpowers draft administrative safety zones, commercial space giants are moving even faster to establish absolute corporate dominance. Trillionaire tech companies and private aerospace contractors are aggressively racing to lock down exclusive cargo transport lines. heavy machinery, paths, and surface mining monopolies. Whichever global corporation controls the automated machinery to process these unique lunar resources will easily become the single wealthiest entity on Earth. As human boots prepare to step back onto the dust, we must face an uncomfortable, lingering question. Is this resource-rich rock a cosmic coincidence, or are we playing into an ancient, pre-engineered design? The Goldilocks paradox. In the study of space, scientists often talk about the Goldilocks zone, meaning the perfect distance a planet needs to sit from a star for liquid water and extraterrestrial life to form. The strange layout of our nearest neighbor introduces what experts call the Goldilocks coincidence. The moon is perfectly positioned to stabilize Earth's climate, and its raw assets seem mathematically optimized to serve as an exact stepping stone for our species to transition into an advanced spacefaring civilization. This concept is best understood through the cradle theory. If those vital polar water ice reserves had been scattered evenly across the open plains, the raw solar heat would have vaporized them into the vacuum of space billions of years ago. Instead, the ice was gathered neatly inside dark polar deep freezers, remaining completely protected until our technology caught up to harvest it. This strange perfection is the reason some researchers still look back at a controversial idea from 1970. Two Soviet scientists named Michael Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov published a detailed paper proposing the spaceship moon hypothesis. They argued that our satellite is actually an artificial structure placed into a precise orbit by an ancient intelligence to help life grow on Earth. But then mainstream astrophysics firmly rejects this engineering theory. Rather, global scientists point to the giant impact hypothesis, a proven model showing that a Mars-sized planet named Theia collided with the early Earth. The violent impact sprayed out a massive ring of debris that naturally gathered together over time to form our round companion. Whether this incredible cosmic setup is the result of intentional engineering or a one-in-a-trillion roll of the planetary dice, the moon stands as our ultimate survival harbor, built to launch us toward the stars. The only question left is who will claim it. Will humanity unite to harvest this celestial machine, or will the moon spark a devastating new global war? Utro. Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more content like this, click on the next video on your screen.